Howdy and hello. I went ahead and compiled a bunch of changes before the update. I want to go ahead and give you guys a comparison between what they look like now. There's a new automaton enemy called Assault Walker or Warstrider, and he's a beefy boy. It requires heavy pins so far to take him out, unless a new weak spot's found. It looks sick. It fires a bunch of grenades you can toss back. It shoots turrets that ragdoll you. Be careful of that. And it has an amazing death animation if you shoot it in the Jondal area. Wicked enemy. We'll be doing a testing video on that here soon. There's also a new turret on the illuminate enemies in city missions. It charges up and fires a beam that does not do that much damage, but will light you on fire if you are getting hit for it by too long. Scout Strider and Reinforced Strider had their leg armor decreased from medium down to light. The durable resistance of their legs has been increased to compensate. If you're using light pin weapons, go for the legs. If you're using anything else, go for the jondals, the middle area where the legs connect to. Otherwise, your time to kill will be increased for no good reason. Reduce the time it takes to regain control after ragdolling from 0.8 to 0.5 seconds. Automaton Cities have arrived to complete the trifecta of cities for factions. And this is probably my favorite one to date just because of the cover they provide most of the time and the way they structure the bases. Give it a gander, it's sick. Urchin stagger strength increased from 0 to 50. It now staggers and affects elite-sized enemies. Kind of. It applies to battle titans, but not tanks for some reason. And it's not stunning them, it's simply staggering their attacks. Upon further testing, it does stagger impalers, but not if their tentacles are already out trying to murk you down. Which seems a little unideal. A hidden but also in-your-face change is you can scan for ongoing missions. This will make it a lot easier if you enjoy playing with random folks, instead of having to sit there and spam R1 true flag. Thanks to some groundbreaking military research into pointing your flag tips, the flag can now be proudly planted directly into enemies, dead or alive. Stun lance and 1 true flag no longer go through charger leg armor. Status effect damage was attempting to apply more times than intended. The main things this will impact will be the De-Escalator, or as the culture would say, De-Escalator. Damage dealt to groups of enemies has been reduced drastically. The damage to heavies is still pretty impactful. Killflation is no more. You can shoot into a crowd of 3 voteless and get 5 kills, 20 voteless and get 40 kills. That was very common with De-Escalator. De-Escalator has a slight increase in stun value applied to enemies. If you use it in a group before the update, it'll be stunning a bit slower in some cases, example being a Hulk. It takes 1 shot before, now it takes 2 shots. G10 Incendiary and G13 Incendiary Impact had their fuel increased, resulting in a much longer lasting fire duration. This will be pretty huge for bug breaches, especially against Hunter Seeds, where a lot of critters are pretty easy to kill. Low HP pools. 1 true flag finally has an effect when you plant it in the ground. It crashes everyone's game. I did find out that if you're the host of a lobby, you drop your flag for a teammate and they place it in the ground, it doesn't crash your game. At least it didn't for me. But when you plant it in someone else's lobby, it will. Please don't do this in games. I know I did it. It was for science. I won't do it again.
Pardon, can you speak again?
Can you take my true flag and plant it in the ground? It's very important. Press X or hold X and then plant it in the top right. Huh. I thought it had a new effect. Evil Doe? This is for science. This is R&D. Besides, P1's about to die. I'll save him. You shall not pass. There's no freaking way that works. Almost. No, I was gonna... Wait, still alive. No! AR-32 Pacifier. Stun duration increased from 1.5 to 3 seconds. Starting magazines increased by 1. Max amount of magazines increased by 1 as well. Slight increase in stun value applied to enemies. SMG-72 Pummeler. Stun duration increased from 1.7 to 3 seconds. Slight increase in stun value applied to enemies. Arc Blitzer. Slight increase in stun value applied to enemies. You'll see a difference on Pacifier and Pummeler. Arc Blitzer, not so much. Even the devs mention things usually just die. Granted, chances are you can maybe keep a charger more stun locked than before if you land most of your tendrils from the arc blasts. R2124 Constitution and R2 Amendment have their bayonet stagger strength increased by 5. You can now interrupt and stun lock essentially Alpha Commanders, but you can't do it to Stalkers. They win the melee contest, no questions asked. Flame Sentry, fire damage resistance increased from 0 to 95%. I was working on a Sentry tier list, and I was using the Flame Sentry. It would constantly kill itself in 2 seconds flat. Its cooldown was also brought down from 150 to 100 seconds. Damage required to Gib warriors has been increased from 500 to 750. You'll see a lot less of splooching happening on the battlefield. Their bodies exploding. That is a lot harder to do. Arc Thrower can't do it anymore, which is a bummer. They look really cool. P92 Warrant now also locks on to large-sized enemies. That means Stalkers, Alpha Commanders, and those sized enemies. And for Stalkers, they can be invisible and you still lock on, which feels pretty sick. Overseer variants, unarmored torso health zone armor decreased from 2 to 1. 2's already light pen. What does 1 do here? I feel like it's a very unnoticeable change. Fixed an issue with the draw and holster speed with the Gunslinger Armor passive. It made you draw it a lot slower instead of faster. Fixed an error that caused some enemy models to appear in lower quality. This was affecting me so severely I thought my graphics card was dying. In fact, it might still be, but thankfully it is potentially fixed. I've only played a little bit, so I'm not for sure yet. Fixed an issue to prevent accidentally triggering jump packs or climbing on supply pods while using the interact button on controller. I ain't got no footage of that before, but I'm hoping y'all are good now. Stim pistol and Quasar cannon have their sound fixed. You can hear the shots going off. It's now easier to put large to massive enemies on fire. I only really shot the Battle Titan here, but I'm assuming that includes Alpha Commanders, Stalkers, and other large enemies. Massive would be Battle Titan. They usually call them elites and heavies, but they're changing terminology. I'm just confused as usual. Firebomb and stun pod booster now affects the Hell Pod's default explosion as well. Stagger strength decreased from 80 to 15 to prevent ragdolling players. Demolition strength decreased from 40 to 20 because we now correctly also additively apply the normal Hell Pod explosion. Main takeaway, players don't get ragdolled from the explosion, which is dope. And you now have the full destructive force of the Hell Pod landing on something that apparently you didn't have before. Folks said you had that booster and drop a Hell Pod on something, it didn't do full damage. Which kind of makes sense. Oh, wait. I die in one shot to this guy. Fair and balanced. There was no chest icon, I just bled out in seconds. Like, get the tourniquet scoop. Increased chest injury bleed damage from 1 to 10. Chest injuries now cause more noticeable damage as the previous value of 1 was so low it appeared to have no effect. You can feel it now. And sometimes you don't get an icon you're bleeding and you just simply perish. If you have no vitality booster or an armor that mitigates the bleed damage, you are out of this world almost instantaneously, especially if you get your chest broken in Ragdoll. This goes on for quite a while. Do you like the idea of making it so we die faster? Because this change will accomplish that, occasionally. I don't particularly love it that they made it so an otherwise negligible thing in the game is now pretty brutal if it happens to you. I also don't like that it essentially makes armors a bit more enticing that are pretty lame otherwise. Your chest can't hemorrhage. Okay, what else? Chance not to die. It's nice, I guess, but either way, you have to pop a stim. Not for the chest hemorrhaging, but I don't know if it's the path that we should be taking. We already die pretty quick as it is. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a good day. Laters.